This is the part that sometimes can get overwhelming because I just got to do a 2-day PODD training. I know. Ooh, come here, cow. I know. I'm going to multitask. I can record and, I don't know, eat off camera. A moment for the sandwich. The 2-day PODD training. I feel like all of us are in the same boat. I was texting back and forth, chatting back and forth with one of the other mamas that was in the class. And we're both like, let's see how much I can get done before I get home, because as soon as we get home, we're like, ah! And we're coming home to end of the year stuff. Oh, I know. I almost didn't go to the 2-day training because there's just, the end of the year stuff is, I'm overwhelmed. We've got a lot of legal stuff going on. Of course, all the timelines end up here. You know, I don't get to control that timeline in high school. But man, oh man, we learned about another senior event today. And it's the senior picnic day or day at the beach. My eye is twitching because it's like one more event. Now, again, this is just a senior, so not every mama is going to feel it. But I'm just like, who is doing this? Who is doing this to the moms? Just planning-wise. Like, give us more time. But anyways, here we are. I'll solve for that in a little while. PODD. PODD. First problem that we solved. Get to the training. Solved it. Solved that problem. So now we're home, and don't lose your momentum. Don't lose your momentum. So easy to create an account. It's Mind Express. That is essentially the software that's going to design the PODD book. The PODD book is going to give us, I've got a backup device that I charge. Oh, here we go. I've got, and iPads are expensive, but I bought a backup iPad specifically that was the same size screen as Kaylin's device. So when we shipped her device to Ohio to have them replace a piece of hardware, ours was the battery. I feel like I made a saga about that. It did not take them 30 days this time. Thank goodness. But the last go around left this mama scrambling because I didn't do some necessary steps up front. So now we're adding PODD to the mix as just, hey, we need this tool, we need some tools. And I'm really excited about PODD because this is going to solve for a really big challenge that we had because of the type of hobbies that Kaylin does. So one of the mamas is like, oh my God, you're changing her system. No, we are not changing her system. PODD is the way that her vocabulary is organized. PODD. So we're speaking PODD. What we're doing is we're expanding the tools that we're using for Kaylin's, again, that's why I call it a system, because Kaylin is not only an AAC user, she also has verbal language and all these other things. So the PODD book for our family is solving for access. We need Kaylin to have access to her language, the PODD organization of her language, in, I guess, kind of a different format, right? Is we've got kind of the tech side. The book that we're going to print is going to be for communication partners. It's going to be for her hobbies. It's going to be for literally every scenario that I have already thought of, that we've already experienced an issue with, or that we will in the future of when her tech device is not available. Charging issue? Grab her PODD book. Outside on the ski slopes? We're taking her PODD book. Raging down a mountain on a mountain bike? We're taking her PODD book. That's for us. My daughter is not, and she's 18. She's not brand new to communication. I think a lot of families have found these types of books prior to AAC. I feel like that's a sweet spot. Mine's not an itty bitty. Mine's not an itty bitty anymore. And language development looks a little bit different for my kid. Every kid's kind of unique, right? But that's what we have solved for. That's why we needed this type of, I mean, it feels like a tool to us. Feels like a tool. Open for someone to correct me on the language I use always. I'm sure Allie will if she ever catches me saying something that she's like, nah, I didn't say that. All happy to fall in line. But for us, it feels like an additional tool. And Kaylin has always done better when we have given her more tools, specifically with her communication. So, no, I don't think it's going to overwhelm her. I think she's going to be really, really excited that, hey, we have found the solution for the gap of, we also don't mount her AAC device in our vehicle because she is not mounted and strapped in her wheelchair. But that will change when she's taking public transportation or taking a bus ride to community college or whatever that looks like. So we definitely wanted to solve for access to her language, whether it be a text system or we're just going to call it her book because that's what it is. I mean, it's going to get bound, right? So, and it's not going to be exactly what's on her tech device. This is, of course, more dynamic. Her book would be extremely heavy if it matched everything that she had access to in here, because we've done a lot of custom pages, but it's also going to have everything that she needs, if that makes sense. So we're really excited, but that is why we are making a PODD book for my child. So we have a Surface Pro on the way because it needed to be a Windows operating system to use the software more seamlessly, couldn't be on an iOS. And this has been well used for 2 months, and it makes sense for every communication partner to have their own device. I think that's going to help communication partners feel a little bit more ownership as well. And when I say communication partner, I'm referring to myself. I'm referring to Brendan. I'm referring to Wesley. I'm referring to the friends that we're going to bring into the fold. So the Surface Pro is going to be that device for a communication partner that we actually get to train on the PODD side. So that's really exciting. This is Welcome to Kaylin's World. It is likely going to be one of her paras that she gets to work with over the summer on this. And then we get to send that para back to school that has a little bit more knowledge with PODD. And we're going to start asking around in our town. Just more AAC friendly meetups, right? Is we're going to start training more of her friends, and we'll let you know how it goes. Like, if it doesn't go well and it's extremely frustrating, like, I'm going to share that too. And we get to share even more language and what it looks like for a kid that looks like Kaylin. And hey, we've solved for a few challenges over the years. So yeah, stay tuned.